Bun găsit, vă spun, din Parlamentul European. Sunt Sabina Iosub. În continuare vom fi împreună la BEU. De foarte multe ori am vorbit despre faptul că suntem cetățeni europeni, suntem cetățeni români și avem drepturi. Multe obligații, știm cu toții, însă în momentele grele ne întrebăm cine ne apără. Ne poate apăra cineva la nivel european? Vom afla împreună în minutele următoare.
Orice cetățean al Uniunii Europene are dreptul să adreseze petiții Parlamentului European. Totodată, orice societate, organizație sau asociație cu sediul în Uniune poate face același lucru. Puteți semnala derapaje de la legislația europeană sau încălcări ale drepturilor dumneavoastră. Tot ce trebuie să faceți este să intrați pe site-ul Comisiei pentru Petiții, să vă înregistrați și să vă spuneți problema. Atenție însă, petiția trebuie să conțină numele dumneavoastră, cetățenia și domiciliul stabil și să fie semnată. Dacă preferați varianta pe hârtie, petiția poate fi trimisă direct la Parlamentul European. Petiția dumneavoastră poate avea ca obiect chestiuni de interes public sau privat și poate fi redactată sub formă de plângere sau cerere. Poate fi însă vorba și despre o sesizare referitoare la aplicarea dreptului comunitar sau un apel adresat Parlamentului European pentru a lua poziție într-o anumită chestiune. Multe petiții sunt dezbătute în Comisia din Parlamentul European, nu toate însă, dat fiind numărul foarte mare și subiectele diverse. Oricum, veți fi informați în toate etapele procesului și veți primi o scrisoare din partea președintelui prin care veți afla rezultatul.
Today here with me in the European Parliament are Marlene Mizzi. Thank you for being with me today. And Mr. Peter Jahr. Thank you for being with me today. So, the most important question is, who will protect me as a citizen at the European level? What can I do to be protected when I have a problem?
That's a very, very important question and a very big question and not easy to answer in a few minutes. But I think the biggest and most important protectors of the citizens are the very same people that are elected to the European Parliament. It is our duty as members of the European Parliament to keep the citizen in mind. In fact, the European Parliament is all about the citizen. If it weren't for the citizen, we do not need the Parliament institutions, the European institutions. So we have to ensure, as members of the Parliament, to keep the citizen in the midst of all our decisions, of all our proposals, of all our legislation. And I hope that the citizens, in this way, can feel protected and can feel wanted as important elements of the European Union.
I know that I'm an European citizen and I have my rights. Can I come to you to help me when I do have a problem?
Of course, in any case, you can come to me and I will try to help you. But I want to say, sometimes the thing's going wrong and I need help. And I think in the end I have two ways. I have one way I go to court, of course. I have national courts, I have European courts. And the other way is I call it the political way. And in this political way, you know, I'm the member of the Petition Committee. And I think the Petition Committee is also the best, the most famous committee to deal with the problems of the people. Mm-hmm. That means you can call me, you can go in the internet and make a petition per email, or you can write a letter to me, and then you can describe your problem, and we will try to help you.
Any type of problem?
In the end, of course, you have to know. That's why my colleague is very right. We cannot make an easy answer. We have many institutions. We have the European Parliament, of course. We have the Council. We have the Commission and so on. And we also have to select the problems where you have to go. But in the political problem, you can come to me. And by the way, if you are the wrong institution, we will tell you where you have to go. We give you advice. But in any case, it's a good thing to call me if you have a problem.
Let's give some examples of institutions that are going to look exactly at my problem. I am sending you an email, I'm sending you a petition at the committee, and you can direct me to what institutions?
Should I answer or?
Both.
Yeah, like Peter, I'm also a member of the Petitions Committee, and Peter's correct, it's one of the committees which is very important. Because it's one of the committees which is closest to the citizen. It is a committee where the citizen can actually come to the European Parliament and actually speak and will show us what the problem is. Now, we have to be careful that all the problems that there are not necessarily can be dealt with the Petitions Committee. It has to be a problem that the European Union has something to do with the European Union. So if it's something national, we will not interfere with national legislation. So it is only when the citizen feels that in his or her own country, she has not found redress for the problem that she has. And the problem can be anything from pollution, can be from discrimination, can be from child abduction. The problems we deal with are something which are very, very wide. But the most important thing is that the citizen has direct contact with us and can actually come themselves to actually speak to Parliament, because the best, I would say, the best defender of the problem is the citizen, him or herself.
Going to the institutions,
yes, I think we have a good, I call it agenda. We call it life cycle of a petition. You write us a petition, we look at it as admissible or inadmissible. If it's admissible, we send it to the Commission and wait for answer. You have a problem, you write it down, we send it to the Commission, and they told us this is right or wrong, or what they say to this issue. And then we say, okay, we have some doubts. In the most of the cases, we have some doubts with this, and we say, okay, in the petition committee, we want to make a discussion. And I think, by the way, it's a very good situation. Every citizen can come in the petition committee and can make a dialogue with us. And then we listen to the petitioner, then we listen to the Commission and make our own opinion, maybe have some more questions. Sometimes we go to the member state, it's called fact-finding visit, and if the petitioner is right, then we ask, if the petitioner is right, we ask the Commission to make some pressure to the member states.
How many petitions do you receive? We are millions of people. We can send you billions of petitions.
We do receive a lot. As I said, the spectrum of petitions is very, very wide, because people have different problems, and it is their problems which are important, which they think that we could solve it for them. But there's a very, very good vetting system. So, first of all, petitions are admissible or not admissible, which means that if they are not admissible, we will decide that this is not something that us as the European Parliament can decide or can deal with. Then there are those that are admissible. So yes, this is a problem which we can solve for them, or we can help them out. So there's a vetting system, you know, like a sieve. After that, there will be the petitions which are, we call them other A petitions, which are the petitions which can be discussed, and the P petitions, which are pending. So there's a way how we solve these, how we sort these petitions out. Because you're right, we do get a lot of petitions. And we do not only rely on the information we get. The Petitions Committee also has the right to actually fact-find. And there were cases when recently we went to the UK, where we had the petitions about discrimination, racial discrimination, about children's abduction, where we actually went to the UK, spoke to the people concerned, it was about children, and we fact-find ourselves, we listen ourselves, we see ourselves, so that we can be fair.
Can a person come to the petition committee before going to the domestic court?
It's possible. You have to, that's a different way. If you go to, I call it political way, you can come to the petition committee in every case. If you go the way to the court, you have to go to national level, then the European level. That's another way. But in every step, you can come to the petition committee. I can make a petition. In this view, you are independent. It's a political way, and you can come to us. But I want to say, it's not only, I think about 1,000 petitions come to us, admissible, inadmissible. They are admissible. But also we have also some action, I call it action behind the curtain. Some petitioner write us a petition from a member state. Of course, the members of the parliament are interested in this petition, and they ask us what's happened in Bulgaria or Romania or in Germany, and they also make a dialogue with this petitioner. I think there's more movement that we are now here in Brussels. That's also good news.
Do I have to wait, it's a joke, for a lifetime in order to receive an answer? You are so busy, you have a lot of petitions, you have a lot of cases, you have, in some situations, you have to go and look for yourself, as you said in the UK case. So do I have to wait so long for my petition to be solved?
Well, there are deadlines. So if, for example, we refer to the Commission, the Commission has 3 months to answer us. So for some, that's long. For some, it's not long. However, there are petitions which have been there for a long time. And this is one of the comments which the committee members made, that we have to ensure that we don't hurry to make a decision, but we have to be efficient. Because I think the citizen must not forget that they've made a petition. They want to feel that they are listened to. They want to feel that their problem is being dealt with. And that can only happen if it's done in a timely manner. Obviously, the amount of petitions that we have and the time that we need to decide, it does take time. But we try to be as efficient as possible. I don't think we are as efficient as we would like to be. I think we'd like to be more efficient for the sake of the citizen.
But the good news is, we make, I think a few weeks ago, we make a decision about the rules of procedure, the guidelines. That mean the member of the petition committee say we want to look to these deadlines, we won't accept this, because the people need an answer. And I'd say, for me, what should I say? Maybe not in every case we can give a good answer. But I think we should give this answer in a short time. And then the petitioner can go another way. Not that the petitioner have to wait 1, 2 or 3 years.
Thank you both for being with me today. I think it's very important to know exactly what our rights are as citizens, and that you are here to protect us, all the citizens of the European Union. So thank you for being with me today. Continuăm discuția noastră. O să vedem că mai sunt și alte instituții care ne pot apăra cu adevărat drepturile.
Nu doar de la Parlamentul European puteți cere ajutor. Puteți apela, de exemplu, la Curtea de Justiție a Uniunii Europene. Acest for poate soluționa litigiile dintre guvernele naționale și instituțiile europene. În anumite situații, Curtea de Justiție a Uniunii Europene poate fi sesizată de persoane fizice, societăți sau organizații care vor să intenteze o acțiune împotriva unei instituții a Uniunii Europene, despre care cred că le-a încălcat drepturile. Vă puteți adresa curții în 2 moduri: indirect, adică prin intermediul instanțelor naționale care pot decide să trimită cazul Curții de Justiție, sau direct, sesizând tribunalul, dacă reclamantul a fost afectat direct și personal de o decizie luată de o instituție a Uniunii Europene. Dacă vreți să depuneți o plângere, o puteți face pe site-ul Comisiei Europene. Trebuie să descrieți exact modul în care autoritățile din țara dumneavoastră au încălcat legislația europeană și să indicați prevederea respectivă. În plus, trebuie să explicați ce acțiuni ați întreprins deja pentru remedierea problemei. În termen de 15 zile, Comisia va confirma primirea plângerii. Atenție! Cererea dumneavoastră va fi analizată în următoarele 12 luni. Dacă problema prezentată e complicată, procedura poate dura și mai mult. C2 este probabil cea mai cunoscută dintre instituțiile la care puteți apela în cazul în care unul dintre drepturile dumneavoastră fundamentale a fost încălcat. C2 nu e instanță de apel și nu poate modifica sau anula decizii din țară și nu poate fi sesizată decât după ce au fost epuizate toate căile de recurs înainte. În caz de discriminare, abuz de putere sau nereguli administrative, vă puteți adresa și ombudsmanului, adică mediatorului european. Uniunea Europeană are și un serviciu, Europe Direct, care vă stă la dispoziție pentru mai multe detalii legate de instituțiile cărora vă puteți adresa.
We will continue our discussion. It is important to know exactly to whom to address when you have a problem, when you have a difficult situation. Here with me today is Iverna McGowan from Amnesty International. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sabina.
So, I am a Romanian citizen, an Italian one, a German one, doesn't matter, an European citizen. If I have a problem, to whom should I address?
So Amnesty International is, of course, very particularly interested in people's human rights. And if a person had a human rights issue, actually whether or not they were an EU citizen, if they just happened to be a person of another nationality in Europe. There's a number of different avenues to address that. So if we look, first of all, at the European level, there is the European Court of Human Rights, which is a Council of Europe institution. There is also, of course, the European Union itself. So although it's a bit more complicated, for example, the European Commission is supposed to defend human rights according to EU law. So if there's a case of discrimination, then we would maybe ask the European Commission to bring an infringement procedure against the country concerned that they haven't implemented the legislation properly. There's also, let's not forget, especially in terms of human rights, there's a number of international human rights treaties that most European member states are treaty to all of them. And those committees, it means that you can engage at the United Nations level even to say that a country is failing to implement its human rights obligations, or even you can have an individual case examined through some of those United Nations committees. So there is a whole machinery, if you like, when it comes to individual concerns and how they might be addressed.
Let's have some example of human rights that are in this category. So we can talk about freedom of person, freedom of speech, freedom of movement. What else?
So if I take an example that's actually quite well defended in law, if not in practice, it is the right to education. People forget that the right to education, equal access to education, is a human right. So we unfortunately have cases in some member states where certain children don't have equal access to education because of who they are, because of their ethnicity, where they come from. Roma children is unfortunately a prime example of that. So if a country was so somebody from one of those families was experiencing difficulty in access to education, they could, of course, first and foremost go and complain to their government. But if they don't seek remedy with the government, there's the avenue of looking to the European Court of Human Rights. But also there is the European Commission. And the European Commission has already opened infringement proceedings towards a number of member states on this point, saying that European law says that equal access to education is a human right that everybody has to stand for. So that's an example of a case in real life.
So what can these institutions exactly do in such cases?
So depending on the different institutions, it is very important to say that we deal with human rights at the lowest level possible, if you like. It should be your local government, your national government. They are the primary duty bearers. In other words, they're the ones responsible for upholding your human rights. So actually the regional and international mechanisms only come into play when the state has failed. And Amnesty International, as an international human rights organization, we often commission research in those countries to establish, has the state failed in its obligation? If the state has failed, then a citizen could, for example, open a court case with the European Court of Human Rights. If the state has failed, or even if the national courts have taken too long, because justice delayed is often justice denied. On the broader scale, if they felt that it was a piece of European Union legislation that was infringing their rights, then you can look to the European Court of Justice. It's confusing, there's so many courts. The European Court of Justice is linked to the European Union, so the Parliament, the Commission, and the European Court of Human Rights is linked to the Council of Europe in Strasbourg. But they both have a role to play.
It is difficult for a person that doesn't know exactly all the European institutions and all the mechanism to see exactly to whom to address to. So if a person is coming to an institution like yours, like Amnesty International, can only be guided, or how can it be exactly helped?
So I think it's really important, again, that you look at the local, at the national level to see what your options are. Have you tried getting a remedy at the national court? Was that unsuccessful? It's often very important, of course, to seek legal advice at the local level to get that expertise and say, okay, what are my avenues? If it's not possible to have my human rights realized at the national level, if I feel they're being violated, get that professional advice on what's the things that we could take. International organizations like Amnesty International and others sometimes engage in what's called strategic litigation on behalf of a different group. So we would actually say that we'll participate by gathering the evidence, by informing and by supporting the lawyers to take a more strategic case at the higher regional level.
What do you think is the most important right? Can we put things like this? a right being more important than another?
Well,
In terms of human rights, of course.
sure. Unfortunately, it's really impossible to put a hierarchy between the different rights. But what I think is really important to focus on is what underpins all human rights, and that's human dignity. And very unfortunately, across Europe, I think that principle is in danger at the moment. When we see very desperate men, women, and children arriving from war-torn Syria, and some of the dangerous rhetoric around that actually forgets the fact that we're talking about human beings who have an inherent dignity and a right to an equal life, if you say. So I think human dignity, if you like, is at the center of the human rights framework that we have to understand and respect and hold high, indeed, in Europe to protect.
In my opinion, after a lot of years in communism, I think freedom of speech is also extremely important. We can look around in some European states that some persons, some political persons are trying to limitate these rights, to stop people saying what they actually think, to stop the press talking about things that happen.
Absolutely, and this is very worrying. You're right to raise it. We have seen a crackdown on non-governmental organizations like Amnesty International in Hungary. We've seen very worrying developments in Poland with regards to media freedoms. And what people really have to realize, and I appeal to, ordinary people on the ground to realize, is that this is their right. They have a right to know what's going on in their country, to know information about political decisions, etc. Sometimes things can be skewed. And again, we see a dangerous narrative about human rights as somehow the European Union or others imposing. No, they're actually there to protect the citizens and the people's rights against the actions of the state. So that's something that's really important. And Amnesty International is actually calling on the European Union itself to call some of those member states to the table and say, you are actually violating the fundamental rights of people living in Europe, and that's really not okay.
Thank you for being with me today. I think our discussion was very important, and I think that our citizens will know exactly now what to do in case they have a problem. Thank you again. It was Ivana McGowan from Amnesty International. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Iar vouă celor de acasă vă spun să rămâneți pe Antena 3. Ne revedem și săptămâna viitoare la aceeași oră.